please mute all guitars. Although it is appreciated. Welcome to Florida.
Thank you very much. Wait, it's on? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Test.
You're good.
It says on. This is quiet. I have to talk louder.
Is it hot enough down here for you?
Mic check, 1, 2.
Yeah, it's on. Yeah, that was good. That one's louder, that's all.
All right, well, welcome to Florida. And let's go ahead and get things started here just a little bit. Now, I'm a big fan of the Rainbow Rock soundtrack, and I noticed there were some heavy metal influences. Did you kind of have to tiptoe around that with the reputation that metal has?
I think that just came in maybe a little bit for two reasons, because by osmosis, I used to listen to like early Metallica when I was saw them live twice in Vancouver. It was amazing. But yeah, like that sort of like Fade to Black, Ride the Lightning sort of era. And so maybe some of that influence probably came in. I mean, just by the virtue of there being two very distinctly different groups in Rainbow Rocks, like the Dazzlings were kind of a little more in the, it was supposed to be evil, and then there was of course the pony sound. So the Equestrian Girls. And so they, I wanted to create some kind of discrepancy between the two. And so I think part of that was like, okay, well, let's make maybe some of those influences came in, but I wasn't actually thinking, oh, people are going to associate this with like some kind of history of metal bands doing things they shouldn't or something like that. I think that, I wasn't too concerned about that.
Now, what was it like directing John Delancey? Because he's not the one who's going to sing.
Is he in the room? Because I know he's here somewhere. No, John was actually really, really great, and he was such. That song was a really hard song, and I sang the original demo on that song.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I remember we sent it to John, and he was like, "Okay, look," and he told me we met for the first time in L.A. at the con. Actually, no, that's not true. We met for the first con in Las Vegas at the convention there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and people remember how that went. That con kind of.
Vegas.
Yeah, and he said to me, he goes, "Well, if you ever do a song I really can't sing," and I'm like, "I'm sure you can sing." And then like another time we spoke, and he's like, "No, just so you know, I really can't sing." I'm like, "Come on, everybody can sing." And then of course that song is like really complicated and really fast, and it was a bit long, so we kept having to speed it up, like, to make it shorter. But he was great. Unfortunately, we didn't do that in person, so that song was recorded over the phone. So he was I think at the studio in LA, and I was in Vancouver, and we did what's called like an ISDN recording, and I just had to coach him over the phone, and that was always a bit tricky. But he did, and they put him at the very end of like a 4-hour voice record day, so he was exhausted, and then he had to sing Glass of Water.
That's just terrible.
He was like, "No, I really need a glass of water, please."
Yeah, does it ever get tricky when you have to do that, when you have to direct people over the phone? Because it's got to be a lot easier when you're face-to-face with somebody.
Oh yeah, it makes a huge difference for me. Like, the advantage of being in Vancouver where 90% of the voice actors are recorded, means like we bring them in. In fact, the studio where we record them is on the same floor as my music studio, and it's just like literally like a 2-minute walk down the hall, and it's right there. Not even like a 10-second walk down the hall. And so I can get in the room, and it is true. It's much better. I have a little piano there. I can like, see them as they're recording. I can see where they're positioned on the microphone. I can get a sense of if they're getting frustrated or not. Because you don't always get that sense. I can see if they're just happy. I can push them a little further if necessary. I mean, it makes a world of difference being in the room with the actor. I would much prefer that to doing it over the phone, where I really have, like, you're so disconnected, and you can't even really hear it very well over an ISDN line, just how it's sounding,
That's unless you forbid if you lose the connection.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's part of why I got the job originally, is they were like, well, we need someone in Vancouver who can work with the actors, so that helped.
And now it's your turn. If you have a question, please line up here, right down the middle. All right, what is your name?
John Morey.
All right, we have a question from John Morey.
Hey, John.
What's your favorite song?
My favorite song in life or in this show?
In general, either.
Oh boy. Well, in the show, I mean, the interesting thing about writing songs in the show is that I'm always like a year and a half ahead of what you guys have heard, you know, because like I'm already halfway through season 6 now. It's gonna be awesome. I'm super excited. Season 6, that's the song season, let me tell you.
Musical.
So yeah, one of my favorite songs of the season is about to air, coming up in the next few episodes. So keep your eye out for a song sung by a character who's never sung a song before. Their own
Jeremy needs to sing a song.
No. But I can say that, yeah, that character has never had their own song, and when they do, that's actually my favorite song of the season anyway.
That's exciting.
It's a sad ballad.
It's gonna be gummy, isn't it?
I'm not gonna say, but that could be it.
Is it hot enough down here for you?
I haven't even experienced the heat because I flew in last night at like 11 at night, and then we went straight from the airport to the hotel. Got a little bit of it outside in the airport, and now I haven't even been outside yet today.
You don't want to. Please don't.
Don't do it.
I'm curious. I am
Don't do it.
curious.
It's not worth it.
You'll sweat in 10 seconds.
I've been spending
Not
a lot of
even.
time in Hawaii now.
I take
so
out the trash and it's
I
just
got,
miserable.
my girlfriend over there, and so I'm getting used to sort of southern heat a little bit now.
You walk outside in Florida, you're gonna have a bad time.
No, I'm good, thank you. I just had breakfast.
What's your name? Jonathan?
Hey, Jonathan.
You got any more raps coming? Because if you need someone to record, no.
Yeah, let's hear it. Can we hear something? Can you do a rap right now?
Whoa!
Yeah, I can do it.
Anything, it doesn't have to be long.
Anyone heard Pony Swag before?
Oh God. You got this.
This is from my bronies, ain't no phony. You can ferret out no coney. Hokey, rich, from my cronies. It's all about every pony's a pony. Only the homie. Killing my brony. Oh, kind of shit real talk. I'm a pony. Trying to bring back one nigga to the sun. Pony's walking everything you can have. Give me the back of the sitting on the sitting on the phone when I get it like a jockey. Like that, sitting on the rusty clouds. I'm a little bit of a equestrian cowboy George.
They kept speeding up. Everyone kept speeding up. They do it. No, the equestrian girls speed too, which I like.
All right, Cody, go ahead.
So I was a big fan of Rainbow Rock's the music most part. But I happened to notice on that one song, "Welcome to the Show," it was in an irregular time signature. And I really like that. I love when you make songs that are unconventional. So I have to ask: is that the first time you've ever written a song that can be in a regular time signature before for a show?
For a cartoon, yeah. I mean, it's pretty rare to do that. I mean, there's occasional 6/4. There's waltzes and stuff. But I remember for that, I was like, I really want to throw things off here, and this would be the perfect opportunity because I love kind of polyrhythms. So what's happening in Welcome to the Show is like, it's like the drums are doing like a bar of 8 count and a bar of 7, and then the bass is doing a bar of like 7 and then 8. And so like they're kind of, it's always missing like one beat, right? And it creates that kind of like sense of it's cool, but it's like not quite right. Something's off here. So there's like a subliminal level to that I was looking for. But yeah, I don't think there's a lot of opportunities in kids shows to write in like 7/8 time for sure. So that was probably one of those. I did it a lot at university. I had never done it in the show though before.
Was that actually your longest song, including the battle scene?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it was, from a contract perspective, it was actually 3 songs. So it was like 3 songs in score, and that's how it was sort of written in the script. And it was a real big question mark, like how is this even going to work? They're like, man, we need to just start with this group, and then go to this group, and then back to this, and then do this whole thing, and then finish with this. And so yeah, I mean, it's technically the longest like montage in a way, but I would think of that as 3 different songs in one.
Awesome. Thank you, man. All right, what's your name?
Cooper.
Cooper?
Also known as Wayne. Mr. Ingram, when you made the song This Day Are You, how did that process go? Like, how did you make one of the best songs in cartoon history that puts Disney to shame? How did you do that?
Excellent question. Yeah, let me think back a little bit. This Day Are You, that's probably like pushing 4 or 5 years ago now. And I only remember because I remember I was living in like 2 apartments ago. Let me see. I certainly wasn't feeling that pressure at the time. If I knew I was trying to write something to be the best song in cartoon history, I'd probably be under a lot of stress. Yeah, no, that was a really fun song to write because we were just pushing the limits on what the show could do at that point. We'd never done a villain song. And of course, any song that's like, creates that dichotomy of like, okay, we have a good character and a bad character in one song, back and forth. And musically, that's a lot of fun because, you know, it can open, you can create this theme for one and then just kind of flip that theme on its upside down for the other character and just sort of play with that. So anything that has those sort of variations in it, I find really a lot of fun. I guess one other thing that really made a big difference on that song is the performance. I mean, Britt McKillop was so great. And we auditioned like 20 different actors for that. And I remember it was an interesting battle between me and the directors at the time because they were all thinking about who, you know, like who they liked for like just the speaking role. And I was thinking about who I liked for just the singing role. And we were trying to figure out that balance between everything. And I think we got really lucky with Britt, who just absolutely nailed that song and the parts of Kate.
Yeah, I love that jump she does, which goes from "Oh Shining Armor, I'll Be There Very Soon."
Yep.
That was a big leap.
Yeah, and she's a country singer, and she didn't know she could do it. So it's funny because actually when I auditioned that song, now that I think back, I hadn't written the whole thing. So they were like, we need some part of a song that we can audition these characters for. So I just wrote the first 2 little verses. So like the part that starts with cadence, and then the part with Chrysalis. I did the part with Chrysalis and then the cadence part, and that was it, just because we wanted to hear how an actress could do both roles. And the rest of the song wasn't written. So she sang that front half, which is a much lower tessitura in her voice, and she sounded perfect. And then she came in, and now the back half like soars, like the whole thing is like 2 octaves or something, and goes up high like that. And she was like, "Daniel, I'm a country singer, you know, I can't sing this." And she actually, and I'm like, but then she nailed it, so it's amazing. I guess you never know what you can do.
All right, thank you.
Up is down and down is up.
All right, what's your name?
Big man.
Ask your question.
Starting.
Yep. Okay,
Starting with Music to My Ears for Rainbow Rocks and moving to a vinyl song and Octavia song, what was it like to write dubstep?
Well, music to my ears. I mean, all those things come down as like corporate requests, right? So they're like, hey, we want to, you know, we're hearing all these really cool fan remixes. Can we do like an official like dubstep song?
So it was inspired by fans.
Yeah, for sure.
Now give your hands
I mean, not a specific fan song in that sense, but the idea that the fandom was really into that genre,
Still praise.
And so I was like, I have no idea how to do this. So what I did was nowadays you get lucky, they sell like libraries of like dubstep, right? and it's like a keyboard of like, it comes with like 10 different keyboard lengths of dubstep sounds, you know? And so honestly for that song, it was like my one and only attempt at doing that. And it was just sort of like, oh, there's like a, you know, So like it was just like assembling all that stuff, and I'd send them little clips, and they were just like, yeah, we love it, we love it. So that's how that went. That's music to my ears. What was the other one you were asking?
The vinyl and Octavia one for the wedding march.
I don't think I did that. I think that was someone else. I think that was Will who must have done that. Because I don't think it was like a song per se, right?
It was, yeah, it was mostly just kind of like music. There was no singing. So.
Yeah. And if it was like that, then that's not me. Yeah. Thank you, though. I'll pass it.
What's your name? All right, Kelly?
I have
Kelly.
2 questions. One, is it true that you're a fan of the great Stephen Sondheim?
Oh, yeah, big fan, for sure.
Then 2, if you're running out of Stephen Sondheim style songs ideas, I have 2 suggestions.
Okay, let's hear them.
Like maybe Cadence and Shining Armor deserve to have a duet. And I think either Discord or King Samba should have a song in the style of Sweeney Todd.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool. I can talk to John about that.
Sing some of our songs.
Sweeney Todd style Discord song. I'll throw that out to them and see what they say. Thank you. Do you have a favorite Sondheim musical yourself?
Well, I have to say that my first favorite was West Side Story.
Oh yeah, for sure. Classic.
All right, thank you. All right, what's your name?
Name is Trenton.
All right, good.
Hey, Tristan.
How you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
That's not my question, but okay, my question for you specifically is for music. Like, I want to know kind of your backstory. Like, were you just in the studio and you were doing a whole bunch of other stuff? Like, what were you doing musically before you got involved with My Little Pony? And how did that come about?
Well, yeah, it's a good question. It's a potentially really long question. I mean, like right before My Little Pony, I was already writing on cartoons. I was doing Martha Speaks, and so the producer of Martha Speaks is Sarah Wall. She also is a producer in My Little Pony, so that's that connection there. And she had said, "Hey, we're looking for a songwriter for this series. Do you want to submit a song, whatever?" So that's how I got. I happened to just know I'd already been working with DHX for about 5 years at that point, but getting into music and that started when I was, a kid. And playing Led Zeppelin and Jimi Hendrix in high school bands and stuff. And then I went, and then going to university. And then, I used to write mostly for like live shows, like theater shows and stuff like that. And actually ballet and dance and that kind of interdisciplinary stuff. And then that was kind of, it doesn't really pay much. It's hard to make a living doing that. And I was almost like, well, maybe I should give up and do something else. And at that point, I got lucky and met a composer who was looking for an assistant, Hal, and he just had his 60th birthday last weekend, actually. And he'd already scored tons of cartoons. He was the main composer at DHX for their early days. It was actually before it was DHX. It was called Studio B. And so I started working for Hal, and I was like, wow, you write music on cartoons? That's the coolest thing. I never even thought of that. And so after 4 or 5 years of working with him, and we started co-writing a couple of shows, that's when I got my chance to do my own show with Martha Speaks. And then that led to Pony, and that's led to a lot of places since.
There you go.
We're thrilled that you didn't quit.
Yeah, thanks.
Absolutely. All right, what's your name? Ben. Ben?
Alright, I am a huge Spike fan, and my proper question is, will Spike get solo? A real solo?
I don't know if I'm allowed to answer that. I'd say definite maybe. Yeah, I've been, I'm really aware of, and Kathy is actually really, Kathy has a real musical background. She used to be a composer herself, Kathy Jimmy.
Yeah, we had her.
Sorry, Kathy Westluck, who plays, of course, Spike. And she was a music supervisor too, and she can sing. Of course, we heard a little bit of Spike singing already, but not like a real solo. But yeah, I'm working on some things for Spike. I can't say much more than that. I got some ideas.
They're probably already on paper. You don't know.
Yeah, it might be. It might not be.
And just one more. I feel the need to ask. Who is best pony?
I change my answer all the time, so I don't know. Who's best pony? Right now, best pony for me really comes down to which voice actress is being the nicest to me. I'd say it's got to be Fluttershy these days. Andrea's been so good to work with.
Yay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Pinky Dude, you're next.
David.
David?
Yeah.
Hey, David.
My question to you is, there have been a bunch of fan creations within the fandom. Music-wise, how does it feel to inspire like thousands upon thousands of songs every time you put out one?
Yeah, that's feels really. I mean, that's totally unique experience for someone in my position, I guess. Like, you know, it's rare to be writing songs on a kids show and have like all of these kind of remixes happen and all of these other fan created songs. I used to, you know, like I remember when Babseed first came out. Back then, I was like, I'm just gonna like YouTube search and just type in Babseed. It's such an unusual title that it was limited to like how many hits, and there was like 1,000. Literally was like 1,000 covers and remixes.
There are more now, I can assure you.
Oh yeah, well that was only after a week, and I was like, this is unbelievable. Like, it's most of the time you would put something out and never really ever hear any feedback. So it's a huge honor to actually not only get that immediate feedback, but tons of fun to see, you know, people doing covers or doing these remixes that in some cases really exceed the quality of the song, like the level of the song itself, and take it to a whole new level. So yeah, I mean, that's one of my favorite things, is being able to put out a song and be able to check out what people can do with it. I mean, I can't listen to a lot of the fan original songs for now because they just don't want any cross influences, but for covers and remixes, yeah, I mean, it's one of my favorite things to check out every week.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, what's your name?
Joey.
Hey, Joey.
How you doing, man? Big fan. Just a question. What inspired you the most as you grew up, besides being as talented as you are for the music? What really inspired you, and what really like began that spark to get you where you're at now?
That's a good question. Lego? Yeah, I mean, it's weird. When I was a kid, you know, I'm 41 now, and so when I was a kid, things were quite a bit